Driver that drives for Uber and Lyft. Joe currently uses multiple phones to efficiently drive for Uber and Lyft. But this can be a pain at times and very unsafe. That was until Joe found Maximo, the rideshare app that automates Uber and Lyft ride requests. Maximo will use the filters set by Joe, like time, distance, and passenger rating, to determine which rides are best suited for Joe. When a ride request comes in, Joe doesn't need to worry. Maximo will automatically accept the ride request that matches his filters, and then turn off the app that isn't currently on a ride. Once Joe finishes the ride, Maximo will turn everything back on. This will allow Joe to focus more on his passengers and driving safe.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Mother's Day, mothers. Let's see. Rideshare Lisa, I know you're a mom. Happy Mother's Day. Hello, Rideshare Lisa. Hello, Freestyle. Hello, Charles. And hello, Gary. What's up? Let's see. How's everybody doing? Happy Mother's Day. Good job. Is it me or is this forum earlier each week? Well, this week's different, man. It's Mother's Day. If my son ever wakes up, I'm planning on going over to see her up in Boulder today with him. So that's just a process that yes, I could go wake him up, but if you got kids, you know how that goes. I don't want to Happy Mother's Day, Freestyle. I don't want to go wake him up after he's been up late with his buddies gaming, and then have him go up and see grandma and have that turn into him being a butthole. Excuse my language. If I let him sleep in, he'll be much cooler, and maybe we can go have a late lunch with her or something. So, but yeah, that's why it's a little earlier. It's supposed to be 11 my time, so it would have been a half hour anyway. And then there's another mother. Happy Mother's Day, Marissa. You can't. It's not Happy Mother's Day to me. I'm not a mother. I'm just well, these days I'm a full-time dad. I don't know what the heck, but that's a whole nother story. Be cranky all day. No, that's the point, is that doesn't happen. So let's see. Let me just roll through a few things that I just had here, because it was a busy week, especially after coming back from COVID. Only this side of my mouth's hurting still, and just down like in two little spots. This side's pretty much free and clear. And I feel like I'm having my up and down days with the COVID still, but the sickness part's gone. It's just the energy part that, you know, the other times I've had it too, it just seems to last for a while. But Wednesday, guys, do you guys all know on Wednesday that that Hannibal and Pedro have a podcast, an audio podcast premiering? Do you guys know that? They've said it. I knew about it beforehand. In fact, you know, if they need any help or whatever on getting the audio dialed, I would love to do that, because they're actually on the same, they're hosting through the same platform that I do my audio podcast, and I've been doing it a couple of years now. So along with a lot of work in the audio field, I know they did set up a YouTube channel, you guys, and I'm sure there will be I'm sure there will be some video stuff they do. In fact, they might do what I did yesterday with the 2-year anniversary episode. The platform Podbean that I use and that they're using allows you to export your podcast in great audio format, but as a WAV file. So it's not, you're not getting the video, but it can be uploaded to YouTube as a WAV design, which you guys might have noticed, you know, had nobody on it, but the audio quality buries anything that you can do through YouTube, through StreamYard, or anything like it. So let's see. So yeah, it is called, by the way, you can go to any podcatcher, just like with mine. You can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple, You can go to Pandora. You can go to Amazon Music. I'm pointing these out because a lot of people don't know that these are podcatchers as well. You don't have to go to Stitcher or Castro or all these other ones, or even Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. You don't have to go there. If you like Spotify, Spotify has every podcast that I have up, and it's going to have all of theirs as well. Their podcast is going to, the actual name of it, just so you can search it, is called the Pedro and Hannibal podcast. So it's pretty easy, man. I'm going to call it the Cuddle Brothers. You guys might know why. So, but make sure to check it out. You know, as a audio podcaster, first and foremost, I'm excited to hear the sound quality and what they do with this. I know, a handful of other audio podcasters, and some don't even ever come to YouTube. And sound, it's all about the sound when it comes to audios or the podcast. So yeah, what's up, Robert? What's up, Roy's Critter Corner? Nice, man. I like that. You guys, Roy's got the new buzz going for his channel right now. So yeah, make sure if you've never recommended Roy to your friends for whatever reason, recommend his channel now to people, because he's doing a whole new thing now. He's putting as many critters in his house, in his room, to see how long before his mom ends his life. Sorry, Roy. But I know he's being careful with it, except for maybe that centipede. So I don't know. That centipede makes me crazy every time I see it. So this last week was pretty busy, coming back. I did the 2-year anniversary of Rideshare Rodeo podcast alone. I did Mary and Lou from Long Island Dash Experience. Matt spoke from CEO founder of Moves Financial, now just titled Moves, but you can find them at movesfinancial.com. And I recommend that you guys all go give it a check out, because if you're a gig worker, there's really no real reason, unless you have a specific one, why you wouldn't do something like this. It's just some extra perks and some extra money, and even acquire a little bit of shares in the companies you work for. So we also had Zahn, the CEO founder of Metrobi. Metrobi is a last mile delivery service for kind of the restaurant space, as much as we could tell. I mean, they're willing to do other things, but they're really doing like not just last mile, but also like local places that do the volume to distribute to restaurants, but don't have their own trucks and don't want to work with big companies like Cisco or Shamrock and pay all those fees. So so it was a very interesting discussion with him. Go back, check that out. And Driver Nation this week. Last week it was canceled because the radio owner and the guy who sits in with us, he's also the radio manager of the station and owner, Tom Kelly. He sits in with Jason Thierry and I, and he was really down and out. So it was like the first time we've had to cancel it last minute. Was not this Friday, but the Friday before. But we came back strong this Friday. We were definitely having some fun. You guys gotta check out tncradio.live on Friday nights. It's a lot of fun, guys, and you guys can call in too. I'll start making sure that somehow I post. Oh, I guess I can just do it now through a community post. I'll put like a community post up Friday afternoon. It has a way to Zoom in, and it also has a way to use phone numbers to call in. It is your, kind of old school radio station for truckers, but it's definitely streamlined, and we have a lot of fun on that show. So it's, we mix music with gig talk, with people calling in, and just kind of, having fun with cool guys. So it's always a lot of fun. Let's see. 13 minutes of news happened yesterday, so I'm back on track, guys. And then this is the Sunday Funday. So here's something cool that I have never done. I'm gonna read it to you guys right now. And hopefully Rideshare Lisa is still in here, because Lisa, you are one of the people that I am gonna be in touch with, because I have 3 that I need to touch base with about this. But so the podcast that you guys just saw that I put out yesterday, that was the 2-year anniversary, that I don't always bring the weekly audio podcast over to the YouTube channel. In fact, I never do. So I shouldn't even say always. I never do. That was like the first one I'd brought over as it is. And so it kind of gave me this idea, though, about maybe having co-host on the audio podcast from some of the creators I know, other podcasters I know, because I've never done a co-host in the 2 years I've been doing it. So 124 episodes, like so much time put into it. 2 years, 124 episodes, tons of hours and research put in, powered by uberliftdrivers.com, my news website. And I've never had a co-host. I've had interviews, I've had guests, we've discussed this or that, all kinds of other things, but I've never gone in with the Tuesday Rideshare Rodeo format and had a co-host for the week that I'm going to work with. So I've got a bunch booked out, and then I've got a couple more on my list to be calling. And then if it goes well, I might continue it even a little bit longer. But let me just let you know that this month, so I always record on Mondays, and then I drop it. I get it all, because I have to edit it after I'm done. So I edit it, and then I schedule it to be dropped at 7 a.m. Mountain Time on Tuesday morning. So 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, in the morning on Tuesday. It drops every week. And that's whatever I recorded Monday, whoever was on it, editing it, getting the sound dialed, all that. And then it drops on Tuesday. So these are guests I'm looking to have on Mondays and beyond the audio podcast. And I'll probably find a way, if we don't go live with it on YouTube, which would be before the podcast, I'll find a way that when the podcast releases, so does the video, that maybe we'll record in just the studio without putting the live feed out. Because I don't want to, there's a lot of audio podcast listeners. There's we get between 1100 and 1400 downloads a week. And I don't know if you guys can put any kind of value on that, but think of it this way: a YouTube view is if you watch a video for 5 seconds or longer, that counts as a view on YouTube. For an audio podcast watch or listen, you have to either listen to a stream 80% or longer, or you have to download the episode. Most of mine are done in downloads. Most people's are done in downloads because they get an audio, even a Spotify or whatever player that says, do you want to just download this every week? And then you set your settings to delete the old, but bring in the new all the time. So it's just easier. It downloads it. That way you don't have to stream it when you do want to do it. But I average between about 1,100 and 1,400 downloads a week of the weekly podcast. And that's pretty high for an audio podcast. But I just want to run down some of the guests I got coming on, because it's going to be fun. Okay. So I got 2 episodes. I had so much fun with them this week that I got 2 episodes coming up with Mary and Lou. So that'll be 3 co-podcasting people from the Long Island Dash experience. And I got Dana Scott. I don't know if you guys know Dana Scott. Dana Scott's a really cool guy. He's been an AudioCast listener of mine for a long time, like probably about a year and a half, maybe. So he's been listening for a long time. And funny enough, he's a full-time driving ed instructor in Boston. And he is a 20 to 25 hour a week part-time gig worker in rideshare and food delivery space but he and I onboarded in 2014. We both started Rideshare in 2014. So I went in, 50 hours a week when I was here, 60 hours a week, and then I'd go on the road doing production, come back to 50, 60 hours when I was here. So I was always, whenever I was here, I was doing it full time, but he was part time from the beginning, and he has a couple kids. And his full time job is being a driver's ed teacher, but he does do the 20 to 25 hours a week, even through the pandemic. And I had him on an episode where we did something not too long ago on the Massachusetts bill that's passing, since he's in Boston, and he has a very strong opinion of it, syncs up with mine. So I got him booked for 2 weeks too, because he's a good guy. He's well spoken and stuff too, and he knows the game. So we'll be having some fun together. I got one episode with Zach from Zach Drives Fast. I got one episode with these are all my co-hosts, by the way. Jason Pease, if you don't know Jason's my buddy from Idaho. Not Jason Thierry from the Gig Economy podcast, who will also be a guest. But this is Jason Pease Drive to Win. 13 is where you can find him on his YouTube handle. He's been on YouTube for a while. He's got a decent subscriber base, and I think he's got like 3,000 or 4,000, maybe. I don't know. But he'll be on here, and he's always got great stories, because he's taken, he took delivery on the road before any of even there's a couple channels out there that kind of base their channel on being on the road with delivery. He did it a month after the pandemic started. So when the pandemic hit in April, by mid-May 2020, Jason was on the road going from city to city, signing people up for delivery, teaching them how to do it, and then trying to get his referral money. But the funniest part was he took an RV and a trailer, and he had his Prius in tow everywhere he went. And he'd signed up like 10, 15 people, stay there for the couple weeks, work the area himself. And this is during the heat of COVID, and get them signed up so that they were making money, push them to really hit those numbers to get him his bonus money. And he's always got the best stories. I got John McCallion one week. I got John Dash Theory, Dash Theory TV. John will be on a couple weeks. And then Lisa, trying to get you on one week too, as well as Kim. So because if you just noticed on that list, other than Mary with Lou and Mary, there's no females, and I needed to get a couple. So Lisa, I'm just going to count you in, but we just need to figure out a date. So let's see what else. Oh, guys. Let's see. So, yesterday I talked about it, or we talked about this, I know, on the radio show big time too, was this Uber claiming the 5 billion. So this has really been bothering me. And so I got a, what up, Flex? What up, Cynthia? How are you guys? So I got to tell you guys this. So it's just been bugging me that Uber had, this awful performing quarter. Not a shocker. I mean, Uber's never had a profit since 2008, when the company was formed. They've never had a profitable quarter. And since they went public in 2019, they've also never had a profitable quarter. So they've never made a profit and been able to even show investors any money back. This quarter was supposed to be the coming out of the pandemic, according to Dara, the CEO currently, who we don't need to get into that today, but it is a discussion to be had that he does need to go. This isn't just me picking on the guy anymore. He was brought in to be the opposite of what Travis was and what Travis had done to the company. And Dara had done pretty amazing things with Expedia, but it was more about the numbers. Dara knew the numbers. He knew how to make those work. As we all know, these rideshare companies and gig apps are a totally different animal. And he just hasn't, Dara has just been failing at much differently than Travis, much differently. However, he has not done anything that he should have done or that would have, and like it seems like all of the few smart moves he's done have been like a year too late. It's just he's just not the guy. It's going to be tough to find anybody to really do this, but you don't want to switch a CEO all the time on such a big company, but it's time and they need to try something else. So, but anyway, back to it. The 5.9 billion that they claimed in the loss for quarter one of 2020, after in December, Dara had said, um, quarter one of 2022 is going to be, actually, we might get into the profit on this one. Okay, well, not even close. You guys are down 29% and $5.9 billion loss. But here's the part that really pisses me off, guys, and um here's why I think that Darren needs to go. I mean, obviously there's other people that have say in the remarks he makes in public and whatnot, but he made some bad claims. The two biggest factors that he claimed for the 2022 loss, instead of coming potentially into at least, into not such a bad quarter or whatever, or maybe even into a profit like he had claimed. It just depends on what interview you listen to, but from in the late part of last year. But he claimed that it was COVID and gas prices. So, okay, I get that everybody's claiming COVID for everything, okay, but he knew at the end of last year that that was not the case, that COVID was not the case, and it was not a factor. But anyway, let me just tell you what's really been bothering me, because I could get into the articles and all this, but I've read so many articles that now I'm mad, because here's my if then situation. And I know Gary's in here, so he'll appreciate an if then situation. But so, okay, if this is true, if COVID and gas are the cause of $5.9 billion this quarter, okay. Um, why have why have customers been paying a fuel surcharge? Because supposedly that's taking care of the gas. I mean, it isn't. The whole gas thing is a fiasco. The supplemental gas income that they're giving to the drivers, if that's even still happening, it's all a joke. However, they're charging the customers the supplemental parts. So let's just get that out of the way. So there's a fuel charge being charged to the customers. Okay, then gas prices really shouldn't be spoken about. That's just part of the inflation going on in the economy right now. I also want to know, though, if his number one thing is COVID, if his number one thing was COVID did this, COVID has caused the $5.9 billion loss this quarter, this has been bugging me to no end. Why 7 weeks ago did you bring back Uber Pool? I mean, if anybody can give me an answer on that, I will, I don't know. I'll do something cool for you, but it needs to make sense. You can't just put all the things I've been thinking, because honestly, if COVID was if COVID and gas prices, so COVID, whatever you use first when you're using two things, that's your big one. COVID and gas prices. You know, COVID is the first one, was the primary cause of the $5.9 billion loss that quarter. Okay. Then why 7 weeks ago, which was little past halfway through the quarter, did you bring back Uber Pool? Because if COVID is the problem, why would you put another person into a car who could potentially expose the one person, the driver, and the other person riding the Uber Pool? You would want every ride back to the driver, uh, and then the passenger on the passenger side in the back seat, nobody up front. And even they brought back up front seating. So now they're back to you can sit up front, you don't need masks anymore, and we have Uber Pool. But COVID was what caused our $5.9 billion loss. You guys, I'm mentioning it this way because it does not take any kind of brain surgeon at all to see, like, what a joke. I mean, like, how this even passes has to be something dirty. It like how this even flies with the investors, I'm saying, like, because there's just no way somebody could hear that and not logically think that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So, yeah, I don't know. Um, there were a couple other things I just wanted to. Oh, I thought these are just a couple of things I thought were funny. If you go to, I don't know if you guys ever read Pulse 2.0, but it's got a lot of like quick text, like text or stock advice and things like that. It's usually pretty right on, and it has Uber as a stock to buy right now, big time, because it's going to hit 62 is the target, and I can't remember what they said, 62 by the end of quarter three. I was like, come on, guys. I mean, Uber's at like what? It's like at $25 right now. And it hasn't been over the $49 that it IPO'd at since it IPO'd. Come on, this is so stupid. Yeah, it's gonna hit 62. Uh-huh. Um, so this is kind of a bummer article, you guys. I don't know if you saw this. So let me see the okay, there was a Uber, you know, the world disruptors, let's call them. Um, over in London, it's a totally different thing, right? Um, they got the TFL that handles the London black cabs, London taxi, as well as rideshare, and you need to pass through the TFL to get any of those licenses, and they're all different licenses. So if you go to the TFL in London, you will get, what are you doing? Are you going for a rideshare license, which allows you then to work the platforms? Are you going for a taxi license, or are you going for a black cab license? And obviously, that is the same order it goes in from how long it takes you to pass each two. So you have to take, pay for, and pass each one um, that you want to do. If you want to do one, so you have to be able to pay for it. There's some grant that pays for half, but the half that each drive, like if you want to be an Uber driver over there, or you want to drive a couple of the other platforms, you have to go pay like $1,800. It's like $3,600, and you can get half covered. So it's like $1,800 that you have to put up front that you're going to really do this. Then you have to go take the classes. You have to put in the time. You have to pass them, and then you're TFL regulated. You can go drive a rideshare. For the same thing for taxis, only much harder and longer. The black cab, I don't know if you know, our guys know a little history about black cab London, but black cab drivers, I think, I want to say, I would need to go look this up. Gary, if you're in here, you might be able to pull it up. I don't know, and I know it has changed as well, but there was a time when I think it was 5 years is what it took to get a London black cab license. Now, the black cabs in London are a very well-known worldwide thing. Um, they are you can tell them some little place in an alley that nobody even knows about. It doesn't have a name. It's just this place that this guy has a door, and sometimes he's only open one day a week, and he sells some jewelry out of it, and it's legal. Who knows? I mean, just the craziest stories. And these guys have to know every single thing that's going on and how to get there, how to navigate traffic. I mean, they're really on a different level. And there's a group right now called I can't find the group, but the group is using the Adam Smith Institute. And the Adam Smith Institute did a test. The London route test all cabbies and black cabs must pass is to be ditched in the age of Uber. So they're about to really step away from how hard or how much effort you have to put into black cab, meaning, um, obviously, I've already known this. I think probably a lot of people have known this. Cabs around the world are way down, as if they weren't down enough when Travis created Uber, which is why he created Uber, because the taxis were already beaten into the ground. Unions had come and destroyed them for what little business they had left. They couldn't make any money, and Travis saw that and decided to put the nail in the coffin for him. And so, that's why the disruption with rideshare and what it did to cabs. Black cabs are kind of a more historical thing, and the fact that they're doing this is really a I don't know, in my opinion, it's a real bummer. I've been to London a handful of times. I've worked production around the world, for laser and lighting, and, I've been through London on many, many occasions, and it's quite a city. It's definitely, there's a feel to London, and the black cabs are definitely a part of that feel. And this is one of those stories where you got to wonder, like, the next time, if there's a next time I go back and I go back, are they still even there? I don't know. Um, I don't know. This is everywhere right now. So the labor, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the way that Australia works, but kind of like, other governments that use a parliamentary system, they have, like the labor union, they have this, but they're not a union. Well, I mean, they're representing you in the parliamentary, but, um, so the labor, group, maybe it is just group, the labor group, in London has finally won, and this is from 16 hours ago. It's anywhere in the news right now. Um, they are gonna get full regulation on the gig economy over there. I don't know what that exactly means. Um, but, yeah, all of the articles that I've been seeing, I've probably seen, it's one of those things where if you put in Uber Australia in a Google search, you're gonna get every newspaper, or at least a lot of big ones for, like, the first 4 pages in the last, like, 20 hours have stories on this. Um, so it's definitely something to keep my eye on. It's not something I wanna dive into today, but it's just a bummer, and hopefully that will change. I know a lot's been going on over in Australia, not just with that, with everything. There's been a lot of fighting, between the groups over there and people who want their freedoms, from the vaccine, from, lockdowns, from everything. They People have really taken to the street, and unlike here, when people take to the street over there, it's different because, um, most countries don't really care if they end up on TV cracking skulls with their police departments. It's just how it is. Um, I know it sucks, but here, like, we bring out every police, everything is on TV and every angle and all this. But over there, that even if they show it, they're just like, this cop beat this dude, and everybody better shut up about it, kind of thing. And then there's some that don't, but a lot of people just kind of shut up about it. So, oh, what else did I have here? Um, Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out. There's a lot of things to close out on this page, so I can get back to the article. And never mind, this article has frozen up, and I'm done with it. Okay, this is just a quick little note of nothingness, by the way. But I wanted to throw it out there. I never give tax tips. However, I have read um a handful of different articles, all on something that you guys can at least watch. Don't take a tax tip from me. Don't do it. Um, but here's something that is going on and everybody's taking notice of it, is that there's 3 companies right now who you might even know, you'll recognize the name probably of 2 of them. Matterport, Upstart, and Fiverr International, though. So if you know about these companies right now, just like the rest of the market, they're taking a beating. Later, Gary. Hope you have a happy Mom's Day too. I'm about to wrap it up here in just a few minutes. But yeah, so Matterport, Upstart, Fiverr International. Matterport's um 4-letter stocks is MTTR. Upstart is UPST, and Fiverr International is FVRR. If you guys just here's a little tip. If you want to write those down or whatever, and just follow them. Don't even invest any money. Just follow them for a little bit here. But they most of the things I've read on this right now, and this is why I never give this kind of advice. But most of the things I've read, and it all has to do with the European Union right now. But most places are predicting around a 300% increase in these stocks over the next 3 to 4 months. Now, will it be that much? I don't think so. But from what I've read, there are reasons to think that all of these are poised to do something at least and get ahead. But again, don't take my advice. I'm not giving stock advice. I'm just sharing an article that because I saw it and I took it into heart, that then I looked it up on a couple other places that I would do for myself. And I looked it up, and I personally am interested. I'm not telling you guys anything, and I haven't even done anything with it yet. I'm just looking because they're down that much. Matterport's down 6.39%, Upstart's down 5.78%, and Fiverr's down 8.43%. So when you got ones down like that, and the stories that you can probably find with them, you're going to see some correlation of it might be something you guys want to look into, might not. Don't listen to me about it. I still am doing my research, but it's just something I'm looking at, and I just wanted to share it. So okay, this is just an odd article. So there's a big controversy right now going on, and it affects the gig economy in a big way. It's going on in Canada, where, as we've talked about when we had Atlanta Delivers over in England and the UK and other places, pretty much everywhere around the world, tipping culture doesn't really exist like it does here. And that actually includes Canada. Growing up in Michigan, I went to Canada a lot. The tipping culture is not there. They don't, you know, maybe in Toronto at top level restaurants and whatnot, but I can't even remember enough about that kind of stuff because usually if I was in Toronto, it was for hockey or baseball. It was usually me driving up there from Detroit because it wasn't that long of a drive, really, to be honest. And they were always fun to go see our teams play in a different country. So, but anyway, they're really working on how to get the tipping culture into Canada. Like, how do we do this? Which is weird because most countries love their position of we don't have a tipping culture, just whatever. But so here's kind of some of the what I found interesting was that tipping has long been a source of significant controversy, spilling over from time to time into the pages of Canadian media. Canadians' views of tipping remain divided. A recent survey by research at Delhoy University, one reason why tipping garners so much interest is that it reshapes the relationship between workers and their managers and workers and consumers in doing so, and it has a wide range of effects on the workers. This whole thing goes into like the fact that by bringing in this culture that managers can get upset because they're making an income as opposed to finding out that the place ends up like rocking and they've got some staff on there working half the hours, making the same money to be a waitress or a bartender or whatever. And so it's hard to bring those into something like this. But to be honest, um, I mean, the only part of this that I guess I see is that um, that it would be very difficult to bring it into their culture. Because here I've been in all these positions they're talking about. And this is why I found it interesting, because I've been a manager, a bartender, server, door guy, kitchen. I've done every work in the service industry, especially bars and restaurants. Um, and I can tell you that, uh, yeah, that kind of stuff does happen from time to time, but there are perks to each, and people understand those positions. And usually, like a general manager of a restaurant or bar makes a good living plus bonus. And the other managers are usually bartenders who manage like one night a week and in turn get the best bar shifts. So it's a lot of, I mean, there's just you just need to work it out, but it actually, I don't know. I see more benefits than negatives to the tipping culture. In fact, it's tough to be a service worker, and you go through it a lot. Plus, I was kind of like, I don't know if you guys know this, but as far as I remember, I and I hate to even say where I learned this, but I learned it from I don't know if you guys remember the movie Super Troopers, which is an awesome movie. But Super Troopers 2 came out and it was crowdfunded, was awesome. But it wasn't the original Super Troopers. It wasn't it, it wasn't the original Super Troopers at all. But there was one funny part somewhat in the beginning. They're in Canada and they are at a strip club and they find out that prostitution in the strip clubs is legal. So like, okay, I just want to mention that we're dealing with a country that doesn't have a tipping culture, but their strippers are allowed to have sex with the guests in the bar. Weird. I mean, at least like we cover it up and have back rooms in those kind of places. And if things get that far, you got to pay a lot of people off and switch hands and money and who knows. But yeah, I mean, some of the reasons they're fighting against this is they say that it'll lead that this is what some of the against tipping culture over there thinks. It'll lead to sexual harassment, pressure to engage in degrading and demeaning behaviors. Okay, again, I think those first two were covered in the fact that your strip clubs are allowed to have sex. So, inequality among different groups of workers, racial discrimination, and unpredictable incomes. Okay, so I'm I have no idea how sexual there's gonna be more of a sexual harassment problem if there's tipping. Okay, maybe. Usually, like what I've learned though is in the bars and restaurants I've run or bartended at or whatever, my servers usually know they're the best servers at the high volume places I've worked, and they usually know how to handle sexual harassment way better than most people. Like I never really worried about the girls that worked for me because they knew how to take care of themselves. So um and if they didn't, there was a bunch of us there to help them, but usually they had it. So it's just something you learn with the job. Pressure to engage in degrading and demeaning behaviors. I don't understand. Again, no tips. Why does that change? Why are you pressured to engage in degrading and demeaning behaviors? Like people are just going to throw tips at you and say, "Hey, jump on one foot. Take your pants off." Like, dude, is that is that what that means? Because it's got to mean something different, and it's just even I can't think of something though. I can't. Inequality among different groups of workers. So tipping or no tipping leads to inequality. Why? It should too anyway, though. Being a bartender takes being a door guy, being in the kitchen, learning the line, being a bar back, being a server, knowing the ins and outs before. Nobody ever walks into a bar and they're hiring one bartender, two servers, and three cooks, and you don't have any experience and you're going to get the bartender job. You're going to be a cook or a dishwasher at best. And it doesn't even matter if you have a good work ethic. That's just how it works, man. If you come into that industry and don't have any back behavior, you're starting, and I'm talking even females. This isn't a sexist thing. This goes even across those lines. You're going to start as a dishwasher. Maybe a server, but I doubt it, because there's usually enough servers with experience. So yeah, you're not going to get that. Racial discrimination and unpredictable incomes. So unpredictable incomes, maybe, but as far as I know, if you don't have tipping and you're in the service industry in Canada, you're not like really doing that well anyway. To me, I would roll those dice and want the unpredictable incomes that they're talking about, because what that means to me is, you know how you're paid crap to work as a waiter? Yeah. You want to be paid crap plus tips? Yeah. Well, the tips might not be predictable. I'll still take my chances. And then the racial discrimination. So tips or no tips, racial discrimination. I have no idea where that one comes from. And in fact, I think that's just junk. I don't that if anybody in the chat has any reason why that one's in there, please type it in, because that one I have no idea. Why would a non-tipping culture or a tipping culture, why would the tipping culture cause more racial discrimination? So you guys, I just wanted to say happy Mother's Day and get on here. I know that it's always a join in thing, but here shortly, my son is going to get up and I got to get to my mom's house and his grandma's house and do Mother's Day. So obviously next week we will be back, and it will be 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, and it'll just run for a couple hours or whatever happens, like we've done before. I'm even stopped, I'll start it. It'll always at least go an hour, but I'm easy on Sundays usually. So I'm cool with it going. Like the other week, it went like 4.5 hours. But the 4.5 hours were a good 4.5 hours. There was a lot of content in there. So I don't know. Go out there and do something nice for your mother if you can. Father's Day is always rough for me. My father passed away, so if your mother's passed away, I'm sorry. At least maybe think of her many times through the day. But if there's anything you can do for her, if you don't live in the same area, give her a call, shoot her an email, whatever works for you, or whatever you guys use as communication. Or if you've had a fallout with a family member, with everything going on, if you've had a fallout with a family member and you've had some rough go at things, like suck it up today and send a little Mother's Day love out. And that's all I got to say. And to all the moms in here, happy Mother's Day. I love all you guys, and I will see you on. I know I'll see you before the round table on Thursday, which, by the way, is when we have Van, Driving Addict, DoorDash deliveries. You know who I'm talking about. Van's going to be a very fun guest. And we have Kim, Hannibal, Gary, and myself. It's going to be 5 of us, and we're going to talk about some just topics going on, but it's quite a group. It's going to be a lot of fun. So join us over there. The other thing that I do know I'm doing this week is, yes, on Wednesday, Jason Thierry, who hosts the Gig Economy podcast, is unable to host this week. So he has asked me to sit in for him, and I will be sitting in with his co-host Jesper and pulling hopefully pulling that one off. They do a totally different podcast than I do. However, I've been on his enough, and Jason and I are really good friends. And actually, he's been a big part of me coming up in the podcast realm on audio. He's helped me with a lot of sound stuff. He and I with also with lifting with Larry, we're going down to podcast movement in August, late August, I believe, to for the conference down there. And so yeah, we're close. But I've been on his show as a guest, but I've never been on there without him on it. So him asking me to fill in was, it's a big deal to me. I'm sure Jesper will run the show, but I will be there to do whatever. And I do like the way their show works. So it's always fun for me because I get to step outside of my norm, and it's gonna be fun. You guys go out there and spin some good into this messed up world. And I'll see you back here. I'm pretty sure even sooner than I said, but all of a sudden my mind just stopped working. So everybody have a good day. Peace.